Hello guys, this is my first time recording this because my Wi-Fi sucks. But yeah, Marty Supreme surprise screened at NIF, New York Film Festival, just earlier today. We were wondering if it was just going to skip film festivals altogether. We were also wondering how the two Safdie films, separate films, they split up. We're going to pan out, Smashing Machine not doing amazing thus far this past weekend. And Marty surprise screen at NIF, and the reactions are incredible. Let's take a look at them. One thing to keep in mind with these early reactions to pretty much any film, they're always much more positive than when the actual reviews come out. They always tend to sometimes, a lot of times, lean a little hyperbolic in their praise. I think the best approach when it comes to early reactions and stuff and tweets like this is to take like that Idris Elba meme approach of like where you not everything requires a reaction. I'm just going to sit back. I think that is how we should approach this. But once again, the praise in this is like kind of crazy that I do think obviously it's a very good film. First up, David Camfield says Marty Supreme is major, exhilarating filmmaking from Josh Safdie, Chalamet's career best performance. He was born to play this guy with a tremendous Odessa Zion leading a superb supporting cast. It's a wow. Lots of people, two sentiments here you'll see repeated throughout all of the reactions. I didn't pull all of them, but if you look, career best work from Chalamet, and it seems like out of anyone in the cast, supporting standout would be Odessa Zion rather than, I know people are saying Paltrow or Tyler the Creator or plenty of other options. It seems like Zion is the standout. David Ehrlich, who I do think is not someone who's usually prone to the Twitter early reaction hyperbole, so this is very good. He says Marty Supreme, aka one paddle after another. Cannot believe we got two American movies this good back to back, which is obviously in reference to Paul Thomas Anderson's One Battle After Another. A comparison, at least quality-wise, he's probably doesn't think it's quite as good, but even putting it like similar to the same level as that film, which is very good and got incredible praise. Very good sign. Next up, Marty Supreme. Yeah, Josh took all that wild Safdie energy with him. To call this a sports movie isn't enough. This is a manic, madcap odyssey that is as exhilarating as it is exhausting. Timothee's star power is so bright and undeniable that it's basically a supernova. Loved it. Once again, similar energy and vibes you'll see about like crazy Uncut Gems energy. Timothee's great. That's pretty much what most of his reactions are. Once again here, Marty Supreme is Safdie's best film yet, a kinetic odyssey that plays like a deranged cross between Catch Me If You Can and Uncut Gems. Timothée Chalamet delivers a performance of a lifetime in this forgettable, awe-inspiring cinematic tour de force that fires on all cylinders. But yeah, similar sentiments all around. Also see lots of comparisons to Catch Me If You Can, on top of course, Uncut Gems in terms of the craziness. Once again here, Josh Safdie reapplying his Uncut Gems greatest hits via Marty Supreme, but on a larger scale and a portrait of purpose post-World War II. Timothée channels that Catch Me If You Can, DiCaprio, and Howard Ratner makes for a hilarious comic performance. I think that's the guy from Shark Tank. Fun and stressful time all around. Multiple Catch Me If You Can comparisons. And then lastly here, David Crow says Marty Supreme is an absolute blast of adrenaline and the follow-up to Uncut Gems we've all been craving. Just as demented and tense, but drunk on the confidence of youth and the arrogance to believe that talent and charm is enough. Which is interesting because I do think, if we're getting into the Oscar conversation, Timothy's big awards moment last year was surrounding that SAG speech, where he pretty much, his sentiment, if you like wrap it up, is he's striving to be one of the greats. That's his goal. He brings up actors like Viola Davis, Daniel Day-Lewis. He also compares it down to sports level, being one of the greats over there, like Michael Phelps and all that. Pretty much sum it up, that sentiment in that speech is he's dreaming big. And then the tagline for this film, Marty Supreme, is Dream Big. And it's people saying it's like his best performance. I feel like, I don't know, the dominoes, the pieces are just, the puzzle pieces are adding up. And it just kind of makes sense for this to be his Oscar moment. Like he missed out last year, but he got one great speech where I think lots of people obviously still vote for him. I mean, he won a major award. Lots of people probably wanted him to win. And he was like, I'm dreaming big. I'm trying to be one of the greats. And then he comes back the following year with what many people are considering one of his best performances, if not his best. The alchemy, the chemistry, the biology, the math, it's all there for this to add up to this being his Oscar moment this year. Because let's talk about Oscars, which obviously I think it's getting picture for sure. I think it's obviously like a top 5 film in Best Picture, honestly. And then actor. I think his only main competition there is Leonardo DiCaprio. And DiCaprio, I think that's some of his best work in One Battle After Another. But when I watched that film, I wasn't like, that's a second Oscar for Leo. it just didn't strike me as like a performance that the Oscars were like, well, we just got to give Leo a second one. He is in the stronger film that will win Best Picture, and as I have said multiple times, if you look at the last four of the last five Best Picture winners, they also awarded their lead performer an Oscar, whether it's Cillian Murphy or Michelle Yeoh or Frances McDormand or Mikey Madison. Lately, if your film is strong enough to win Best Picture, they usually also give it to the lead performer, the person carrying the film, which in this case would be Leo. But obviously, that's a short year trend that's going to be broken, obviously, at some point. And it could be broken this year because I do think Timothée is probably going to win this year. It just, like, when you look at the narratives with Timothée and the narratives with Leo, I think Timmy's also just going to be stronger on the campaign trail than Leo, who usually just tends to be a little more laid back. I know he has been more out there for this film, but I think that was more to promote the film. I don't know how active he's going to be in the award season campaigning. We'll see. It's also just an interesting race how, like, last year it was Timmy who could have broken the Best Actor and youngest person to win Best Actor record, and he ended up losing to the guy who did have that record with Adrian Brody. And now it's like Timmy, who's like new Leo, versus Leo. Interesting races these past 2 years in that category. Director, I think it could miss this category, but if I think it's top 5 right now, I'm going to have it in there. But that's one that I'm not as confident in. Original screenplay, absolutely getting nominated. Editing, absolutely getting nominated. It's crazy how this and One Battle After Another are nearly 3 hours, but people just, for both of them, obviously I can only speak to One Battle After Another, but people are like saying they just have so much energy to them. So yeah, I think it's definitely getting editing, even though I think One Battle will still win that category. Lots of mentions for the score here. Enough mentions throughout all the tweets that I'm like, yeah, that's probably just going to happen for sure. Casting, I'm not, that's along with director, one that I'm not as confident in, just because we don't completely know how that category is even going to work. But like the Safdies tend to do, they cast a lot of non-actors in these roles, and it seems like they did a good job. So that's a decent narrative for that category. Cinematography, it's Darius Khondji, I believe. Looks great from the trailer. Seems that it's just going to happen, I think. Then production design, I believe, is Jack Fisk. Takes place in the 1950s from the day, I think, is a little globe trotting as well. Just kind of makes sense. So I have it getting those 9 nominations currently, which is a lot. I think its ceiling is 12 with these 3 other possible categories. Supporting actress, it looks like it would be Odessa Zion. That category is in flux. She could kind of be like a Monica Barbaro was to Complete Unknown last year, because I do think it would be her rather than Gwyneth Paltrow. It seems based off the reactions, but that's one kind of like Barbaro last year. I'm more wait and see the film myself before, because the praise wasn't like it's not like people were mentioning her in like every reaction. So that's a wait and see. Same with costume design, just because I don't know. It's not a name costume designer within that branch which likes names. It's there. You can easily make a 5 without it. And just from the trailer, even though it is period piece, the costumes didn't scream to me. But I could. That's probably of these 3 the most likely. Then sound. I didn't see a ton of mentions of the sound design. Anka Gems has had great sound design. Editing and sound are often very interconnected, but I don't have it getting that currently. So those are the 9 nominations I've got it getting. One win I would give it is Timothée. I do think he is probably out front at the current moment in that category. So yeah, what do you guys think of these reactions to Marty Supreme? Just a quick little video here talking about it. How does it change your Oscar predictions? Do you think it's top 5? Do you think Timmy's winning? All that stuff. You want to subscribe to stay tuned. Hopefully got a Frankie review tomorrow. Wake Up Dead Man review. And then Frankie is Frankenstein. And then we're doing our acting predictions very soon as well. So, and After the Hunt. So you want to subscribe. Thank you all for watching. See you in the next one.